Hey YouTube, what is going on? It is Arrows, and we got mail finally from Sequence Games in Brockville, Ontario, and it is some stuff that we ordered to help fix up our Final Fantasy X Guardians deck. So I'm gonna open up the package, and we're gonna see what we got, and then we're gonna look into what we're gonna do to improve on the deck. So let's just get this open. Alrighty. So we got our nice order sheet here. Gonna, I'm gonna pop open and see what we have to work with. Sequence Games is pretty much the only place in Canada where you can order Final Fantasy trading card stuff. So really happy that I at least have them to work with. So we're gonna take these out of the sleeves. Show you guys what we got. Now, if you guys do know, I did order a Opus 5 Hero Jacked, not realizing that two of them came in the custom deck already. So we're gonna show you guys what we got. So we got one copy of Princess Sarah. She is from Opus 11. When she enters the field, I can name one element, and she becomes that element for the rest of the game. So this is really good to like figure out mana cost, because if you guys do know, Final Fantasy trading card game, to pay for a card cost, like say for example we wanted to pay for this Yuna, all we have to do is we only need to pay one win CP. So having a CP adjuster on the field such as Princess Sarah is amazing. So she also has the ability, I can tap her. All forwards of the same element as Princess Sarah gain plus 1,000 power until the end of turn, which is really cool. Then we have 3 copies of the Opus 13 Leviathan EX. It's a 2-drop water CP. Choose one forward during this turn. The next damage done to it is reduced by 5,000 instead. Draw 1 card. If I have received 5 points of damage or more, all forwards I control also gain. The forwards cannot be chosen by your opponent's summons or abilities for this turn. Really good card. We have the 2 Jacks that I didn't really need. Ha ha ha. Go me. 1 copy of the Opus 14 Rare Leviathan EX. This is another really good effect. I can choose I can choose up to 2 of the following 3 effects. I can choose 1 forward my opponent controls, return it to its owner's hand. Choose 1 light or dark forward, put it on the bottom of the owner's deck. And put 1 water forward in my break zone, add it to your hand. Really good card. And then we have 3 copies of Sin from Opus 14. This card is really awesome. During my opponent's turn, the forwards they control cannot use action abilities, and then for 2 wind, 2 of any other CP, and I can choose 1 auto ability, cancel its effect. And then rounding out, we have 3 copies of Marlbib. She is a 4-drop water backup. When she enters the field, I can choose 1 water forward, add it to my hand. I don't know if I'm going to use 3 copies of all of these. I just find with Final Fantasy, because ordering a lot of the cards are really cheap, it's just a good idea to order 3 copies if you can. We obviously didn't order 3 copies of the Sarah or the Leviathan because they didn't have them in stock. They didn't have extra copies in stock. So that is what we're going to do, and then we're going to show you guys what we're going to change. So let's get to it. Alrighty, so now we have our Opus 10 Guardians deck, and now we're going to make some changes. So some of the changes we're going to make are, we need to add in a copy of, at least 1 copy of Sin, maybe 2. We might do 2 copies of Sin. So what we're going to add in is we're going to add in 2 copies of Sin, 1 copy of Marlb, 2 copies of this Leviathan, and 1 copy of this Leviathan, and our Princess Sarah. All right, so what we're going to do is for the 2 copies of Sin, we're going to take out a Lulu and one of our extra Tituses. That's an easy fix. For the summons, we're actually going to drop all 3 of our Valifors. And why we're doing that is because there are cards in the game, like Minwu, that will prevent this card from doing damage to forwards that have more than 3,000 CP. So we're going to drop our 3 copies of Valifor and 1 copy of this Ifrit for the same reason. To add in our new 3 summons. And then for our backups, we are going to be dropping both of the both of the lanes. She's cool, but not overly what we want. There are still other changes to be made to this deck as well. Like obviously there is a Sarah card that searches out that will search out Princess Sarah, and we want to add in some of the more Crystal Chronicles based stuff to it as well. So we're going to keep working with that as we go. But these are the rough changes to turn this from our very first draft into our new draft. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to show you what the deck is going to look like now with all these new cards in it. Alrighty, so this is now we're going to show you the new deck list. This is Guardians Round 2. So a lot of it is still the same course. We're still running our 3 copies of the starter deck Titus, 3 copies of the starter deck Yuna, 3 copies of the starter deck Aron, 3 copies of the starter deck Waka. But we have made some other slight changes before the cards came in. If you guys noticed when we were looking through what we're going to take out, we dropped a couple of Ifrits. We dropped an Ifrit, which wasn't in the initial deck profile. So we're running 2 copies of the Riku. She is the most useless of the Guardians, I find. So we're going to run her down to 2. 2 copies of the Lulu because we just made the changes. And now we've added in our 2 copies of Sin. We're still running our 2 copies of Pain. We also added in 2 copies of Braska. I really like Braska. He is a really good card. He's a 2-drop fire CP. So you only need 1 fire CP. So having a Princess Sarah on the field who is fire type will help us a lot with that. When I go to activate any of his special abilities, instead of discarding a copy of himself, I can discard a summon instead. So that's really cool. And for a discard of himself or summon will do 7,000 damage. And then for a discard of himself, 2 fire CP, 1 wind, 1 water, I can choose 2 forwards my opponent controls, break them, and deal my opponent 1 point of damage. So, really good card. We're still running our 2 copies of Jekt, our 2 copies of Aerith, our 1 copy of Pain, the Search Pain, our 1 copy of Waka, and we've also added in a fire type Jekt. This card can be really, really good. It'll search out our Tituses if we're having trouble finding them. And when it comes out on the field, I can choose 1 forward and deal at 4,000 damage, and then an additional 1,000 for each category 10 forward I control, which is really good. Our backups have largely remained the same. We are running our 3 copies of the Opus 1 Rare Aerith. She's just really cool. When we play her, we can activate our backups. So if I have 3 backups on the field already, I can play her, activate those 3 backups I used to pay for her. We're running 2 copies of Norshalin and 2 copies of Waltrol. I'm still on the lookout for more other Crystal Chronicles, better Crystal Chronicles cards to add in here as well, because being able to search out other backups is really good. We've dropped our copies of Brother down to 2. I found 3 was really cloggy in test hands. 2, I only really need the 1 to go off, so we just have the other one in there just so we don't take damage with it. We've added in 2 copies of Yosetsu from Opus 8, the Opus 8 Rare. She's a fire CP. I can pay a fire CP and tap her and choose 1 forward to cost 5 or less. It cannot block. Just a good card. Then we have our 1 copy of Merylb and our 1 copy of Princess Sarah. And then because I miscounted when we were telling you what we're going to take out, we're running all three copies of that Leviathan, the 2-drop that protects us from Tate, that drops damage reduced by 5 to 5,000. We're still running our 2 copies of the Opus 1 rare Leviathan. EX burst, return a forward to your opponent's hand. That comes in handy a lot, especially when we want to set up for kill shots. That and like Waka, using Waka's ability to get rid of another forward is really good. 1 copy of the new Leviathan EX, and we're running 2 copies of Ifrit. Ideally, I would like for these to be Amateratsus, but they're hard to find online. So I need to look into other sources, but I might take them out and just make them straight up CP of a different summons of a different type. Maybe we'll add in an extra Leviathan, the one that bounces. Maybe we'll look into Famfrets to draw cards. Who knows? Who knows? But this is what we're taking to Mario's tomorrow for our first Final Fantasy tournament with this deck. I'm really excited for it, you guys. I feel like we have a really good chance of winning. If you guys have any suggestions, comments for what we should take out, what we should add in, let me know in the comments below. I love hearing input. Like I said, I haven't been playing the game up until now to be consistent at it. So any suggestions, thoughts of what we can put into this deck to make it better, like maybe take the fire elements out, let me know, you guys. Let me know in the comments below, and have yourselves a great day. Like and subscribe to the channel, ding the notification bell when you want to be alerted to any of our Final Fantasy content. We are going to be in the process of recording the next dungeon run with arrows so in the next couple weeks, so be on the lookout for that. And as always, friends, stay safe out there, have yourselves a great day, and be